Hello and welcome to Brodual. This time we're back with some Skyrim mods. Immersion is probably the most important category of mods in my load order. Sometimes they increase immersion while also adding a lot to the game, and sometimes they add very little but my immersion has to be satisfied. In this video we've collected several mods that fall into this category. First up we have Simply Knock, one of the more recent mods from the creator of Frostfall. This adds a fully featured knocking system to the game, allowing you to knock on the locked doors of houses to see if anyone's home. The way it works is simply by activating any locked residence. Instead of going straight to the lockpicking screen, you'll be given the choices of knock, leave or unlock. What's great is that if you decide to knock and someone's actually home, they'll answer the door, and the voice will always match the correct person. You can then talk to them through the door and try to bargain your way in, with your success rate being tied to your speechcraft skill. Your friends in Skyrim will always allow you to enter, so being helpful pays off. But strangers or those neutral to you aren't so quick to open up. You'll have to either persuade them to let you in or use your manly voice to intimidate them. Once you're inside, you're allowed to stay for a while without any hostility, regardless of the time of day or night. However, try not to overstay your welcome. If it comes time for them to lock up for the night or the following day, they'll probably ask you to leave, and they won't be nice about it. If they refuse to let you in, they'll continue to refuse for the next 24 hours. If you continue to harass them by knocking, they'll eventually yell at you to go away, again using their actual voice. What's great is that the mod is smart and fully configurable in the mod menu. It knows when a door doesn't belong to a residence, so it won't give you the option to knock where it doesn't make sense. You can also make it so your friends only let you in sometimes, or mix and match between several other options. The mod relies on scripting, but they only fire during the actual knocking sequence, so there's no always running scripts in the background, so it performs well too. All in all, this is another fantastic mod by Chesco. It creatively uses the vanilla assets to add a new immersive system to the game. Next up we have creature size variants. As you can probably guess from its name, this is a mod that offers more diversity in the creatures and monsters around Skyrim. It works on the fly by checking for nearby generic NPCs, and then will automatically increase or decrease the size of it to offer more variation. What's great is that the size of the creature will actually determine how much health and damage it's capable of dealing. So when you see a small bear, you know it's not as powerful or deadly as a giant one, which makes sense. The mod is fully customizable in the mod menu, and from here you can set the chance of resizing, the resize limits, and how resize actually affects the creature. You can go pretty wild with it and have creatures that are up to 3 times bigger or smaller than vanilla, but we wouldn't recommend it. You can also individually tweak about 12 of the more common creatures around Skyrim, like dogs, skeevers and dragons. We'd personally recommend for the resize chance to be high, but have the limit set to about 25% either way. So you can have creatures range from 75 to 125% of the original size, which is a noticeable difference and it doesn't stray too far from reality. Overall, we've had texture variants in the past thanks to mods like automatic variants, so size variants is a welcome addition. Next up we have multiple mods, but we're going to condense them into one, and they are the camp mods by Antiscamp. As of right now there's 3 to choose from, with each one adding a separate camp location to the game. First up we have Camp Argentum, a new Legion outpost in the Whiterun Tundra. It was built after the death of the High King in the face of the intensified Stormcloak insurrection. It was designed by the author to mainly give those role-playing as a soldier a place to live and stay, but it can also just act as a new location to explore. The camp is filled with about a dozen Imperial soldiers, all who have proper AI and schedules. So they'll line up for inspection in the morning and then train, eat and forge weapons during the day. All of the soldiers can be recruited as followers, which can be great for role-playing if you want to take control over your own Legion unit. The second camp is for the Stormcloaks and is called Voglio. This was built to threaten Imperial interests in the north of Whiterun, and to protect the crossroads that lead to Stormcloak territory. Again, this is very similar to the Imperial one, although it comes with a vastly different design. It's not as uniform or well structured, which makes sense given the different factions that built them. Again, all of the NPCs housed there can be recruited if you're an ally, but alternatively you can make the camp extremely hostile to all those who try to pass through it. The final camp isn't for soldiers at all, but for refugees. The Ashlander camp, New Zainab, is a temporary home near the eastern border for those more seriously affected by the Red Mountain eruption. Here you will find a well put together camp consisting of a few large tents, as well as 11 new NPCs living there. Again, this can be great for role-playing, and one of the tents can be taken for yourself, with safe storage and a place to sleep. There's also 2 potential followers that can join you on your journey. All in all, the camps are relatively simple locations that won't really have a huge impact on your game if you're not role-playing, but we're always fond of new places to explore. And finally we come to Blowing in the Wind. This is probably the most immersion mod on the list. Skyrim is a windy place, especially in the open tundras. You can hear the wind whistle almost anywhere, and even see it in the grass and snow. While this mod makes it so signs from stores and inns will now also blow in the wind. In vanilla you may or may not have noticed that they remain perfectly still unless you interact with them, but now they'll subtly rock back and forth. It's not much, but it adds a nice ambient effect to the sometimes still environments in Skyrim. Trying to explain exactly why you'd want this in your game to a friend would be difficult, and yet I can already hear the faint sound of it being added to some of your load orders. And that's it for today's spotlight. If you're interested in more immersion mods, then be sure to check out our immensely immersive immersion spotlight from a few months ago. As always, be sure to leave endorsements on any mods you enjoy, be sure to check out d2a.com for some cheap games, and thanks for watching.